Hello, everyone. It's Helia Singh here, your wealth coach. And today we are coming to you with another episode of our new podcast series, which is called How to Find the Right Coach. Which part of this series, I am committed to interview as many female coaches out there around the world to, first of all, understand how we do things, and you will get to know them. And of course, as a side effect or the borrowing benefit for me is that I will learn as well. Even though I'm a coach, I have other coaches in my life, and I'm always out there to find more people, connect with more people, like-minded people, and learn from them. And today's guest is a beautiful Ania Galej. She's a business coach, but she's going to explain about her niche later on. But yes, without further ado, welcome, Anna. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Halia, for inviting me. Yes, it's so exciting. What you're doing right now is interviewing all the coaches, and so anybody who needs some advice or little tips, they can watch this. But also, if they want to find anyone that they can relate to and want to work with, this is like they would open back in the day a yellow book, and they're like, "Yep, this is the person I want to work with."
That's right. But now, thanks to the technology, we're going one further ahead, and we are already doing all those pre-interview or the first interview up there. And so, yes, our audience can just watch and say, yes, I can relate to this lady, or I can relate to this person. That's what I need. Because often, actually, it happened to me. Clients come to me, or when I used to do one-on-one coaching, which I don't do anymore, clients come to me and they talk about, of course, money and stuff. That's what it does. But after chatting with them, I realized, no. They don't need actually the wealth coaching. They need a mindset coach because that's the part that is missing at the moment. Or they have that self-confidence problem. So it's got nothing to do with the money. Money is what they think they need advice on, but it's actually the root of the problem is somewhere else. So yeah, that's why I always say, oh my gosh. So for that area, even I have no idea. I'm still working on it for myself. So, but I need to refer you to someone else. And now it just kind of makes my job much easier because next time if somebody, I know that they need, let's say in area of health or this or that. So I say, okay, look, you need to watch episode, let's say 10, 11, 25 on my podcast and find out which one you can connect with. So it's just going to make it nice and easy. Again, thanks again for being here. Is it okay? Let's start my questions.
Of
And
course, go right ahead.
wonderful. Look, Anna, as we were talking before, so I was actually very impressed. You already got your MBA and you already work as an accountant. Wow, I love it. So, yeah. When did you decide to become a coach?
Ooh, when I burned out in my CPA job in the United States, yes. And I realized that there's something more to life than just working the typical 9 to 5. Oh, it wasn't that in my case, it wasn't even 9 to 5. It was like 12 hours. January was up to 15 to 16 hours.
Oh,
And money, and this is what you mentioned, it has nothing to do with money. We've been conditioned that it has to do with money, but then it has to do with all the other stuff. So I was making like a six-figure salary, but I was not happy. So I decided to quit. I grew up in US, but I have roots in Europe. So I decided to kind of go back and maybe like how we said, just do soul searching and find myself. And then I ended up going and traveling through Asia. And that's how my whole life kind of evolved to where I am right now. And as of right now, I'm a business identity coach. And this is what you mentioned is like even how you say yourself, you gave your clients back in the day all the tools, like just copy and paste what I'm doing, and they still weren't doing. And you mentioned there were doctors and lawyers, which means it's not like they were lacking education. They were lacking that, how you mentioned mindset. But with the identities, we go even deeper than that. Because mindset is just your mind, but we also have a body, right? We also have emotions, and most of the time, if we look at money, money is energy. And if we go to the famous, we all know the secret and the manifestation world. Ultimately, when you want something, why do you want it? Because the way it's going to make you feel, right? So then can you program your identity or who you are to already feel that, that how we talk about the abundance and everything before it even happens. And from that state, as with that, when we shape ourselves in that, then we can reshape also our mindset. And then, as you mentioned, the confidence is there. We make different decisions. So we are being a different person to do different things, to have what we desire, which ultimately, how you mentioned, is money.
I love that. I love that. It's just a typical case of that when we talk about the people who win the lottery, or it is that, yes, they got all this money. And of course, now their mindset is that I'm rich, I can do whatever I want to do. But the statistic shows actually after a few years, they've lost all those money and they are more in debt. And that's because their identity didn't match with the money that they received.
It's very interesting what you just said. It's one of my favorite examples to give, because we talked, we all consumed the books, right? We all read it. We all know wealth, and there's like millions and millions of books, right? So this is a content, like we consume it. We might understand it, but we don't know it, which means because the context, which we are, that identity is not there. So I love to give that example how in United States, there's even a show that shows, I think after 4 or 5 years, people that won like over 100 million go bankrupt. I'm like, can you imagine? What do? We all want that money, right? We're like, when I have the money, then I will be this. But they had the money, and look what happened. They're even worse off. And then you have people like, I give an example of Elon Musk, and I said love him or hate him. I think it's because I love Tesla. And he was almost a bankrupt 3 or 4 years ago. And now look where he is, one of the richest men. Why? Because his identity was to be successful and to be wealthy. And whatever the circumstances that he saw at the moment, they were temporary. It was just temporary. So he was acting still as a wealthy, as a successful person. Doesn't matter what the outside world was showing him.
I love that example. Thank you very much. And I never thought about it this way, content versus context. I just love it. It's beautiful. If you don't mind, I'm just going to actually borrow that and just do a vlog on that one myself. So, and of course, I will refer, and put your name in there that you made me thinking about this. And that's beautiful. And see, this is why I was talking about our just having a conversation, because this is where we find out how we connect with people. Because in this day and age, as you can see, everybody's always on their gadgets. There is not much of a real connection happening. People are tuned in to listen, but there are no connection. And unless we are really open about what's happening inside, we are not going to be able to connect. Again, the same thing. We're just reading the contents, but the context is not there. I love that. I really like that. Thank you.
Also, we don't process it. So like, if we don't have that context, can we create it? Because ultimately what happens is, how do you remember something? It's an experience, right? Like, how do you said you were financially independent. Like, how do you know that? Like, because the feelings you have the calm, you have the peace, you don't have to worry. You look at your investments, you have, every time you do that, there's an experience, and that experience created an emotion, right? So now imagine when someone is on the other side of you, right? And then you show them what's capable of you done it, but they can't connect to it. And this is that's where we're talking about, when people say, but it's so simple, you just go in there and I'm gonna even almost hold your hand, and people still don't do it because something inside them is holding them back. And that's what it is. So when they work on that, then making those decisions, because it's ultimately, decision. Can I make a decision before it even happened? Like, it's, people do it when I do with my clients, this really deep visualization and manifestation, sessions. We really go deeply, because a lot of people say, I can't visualize. We can visualize because, as you said, we're very distracted. We can't focus. Can't really focus. So we do this so they focus, and then to create that almost like that visceral body reaction of how would it be if it was already happening. And then when they come out of it, they're like, my thinking is different. Like I know I went into it without thinking it's impossible. Now I know it's possible. So now if you know it's possible, aren't you gonna act differently?
Mm, absolutely. Yep. Act as if you are there already.
Exactly.
Love that. Love that. So, is this as a business identity coach? Is it something you will help people to find their identity, or is the identities already we all have it? We just have to, bring it up, or actually that's something we can learn it.
We all have an identity. You all have an identity. You gave me a
Yeah.
little bit of your background, where you from, where you were born. That's your identity, right?
Yeah.
Like it's mine. All the labels that we collected through our life, that's an identity. But it requires us to shape a different identity to have be in business. Because you might have an, let's say, identity as a mother, as a friend, because in each situations we have that. It's almost, they're saying you put a different mask, you have that identity.
Yeah.
And if that identity is normal, you act automatically without thinking it.
True.
So if being successful or wealthy, it's not something normal because you haven't seen it, you haven't grown up with it, you've been programmed the opposite, then here is almost like sometimes you need to let go of the old, that identity that tells you you cannot, that it's hard, that it's impossible, everything that stops you, that barrier that stops you from it. I think even Bob Proctor talks about like a terror barrier. You need to almost, I practice like, you need to start chipping off pieces of you, and then you create space to mold yourself, because your identity as a business person, as you know, like, or as you were a financial planner or a wealth coach, is completely different. You had to be different now to do what you're doing right now. You have to know, oh, this is possible. I love doing this. I'm enjoying doing this. I'm showing up. And look, I want to connect with these. With that approach, you're going to connect with these people versus like, no, I'm too shy. I don't want, it's like all these. The most famous one, everybody talks about imposter syndrome or procrastination or
Yes.
the self-doubt. And a lot of this is all rooted. Some of them, yes, probably needs healing. But what I used to be an energy healer back in the day, as
Wow.
I am empathic, I'm a highly sensitive person myself, so I can feel energies. And what I notice, people go sometimes on this spiral of I need to heal, 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 heal.
Yeah.
And people do this connection with healing and business, which is true. There's things probably we have to heal. But what I found here, when you're working on your identity, whatever you have to heal will come up. You don't have to go on there and say, okay, I watched this person and they told me I need to heal A, B, C, D, and that. Then I can go out there and do my business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why people stop and they don't take the action when they need to do in business. And they freeze and they're like, I don't know what to do, even though like I don't know what, and this is it. Versus when you start building that identity of the way you start changing your thoughts, your stories, and the way you start feeling, whatever has to be healed will come up. It will be that pattern. It will come up. It will start coming up. Like it's like a cork, like, oop, you need to rip, rip. So then okay, you know what? I need to focus on this. Because it doesn't matter where you are in your business journey, there will always, always, always will be something to heal.
Oh,
Always.
yes. Tell me about it. Absolutely. Yes, it just reminded me of that thing. They say that, yes, to learn to swim, you can't just sit in on the side of pool and read the books on how to swim. You have to get in the water actually and do it. And then where the mistakes are. And then your trainer, your coach will tell you how to fix it by
And
just reading it.
us, as
Yes.
coaches, we are those people that, like, as guides, like, we can spot it, So
Yes.
people don't send it like, oh, I can spot it. Like, this is it. This is what you like. This is that. Because if someone continues, then they're going to continue consuming the content, how you say, reading the book,
Yeah.
on swimming, versus I'm like, no, go in there. Nobody says you have to go into the water, like don't go to the ocean.
Deep water, yes.
Yeah, maybe start with the pool.
That's right.
It could
Yes.
be a kid's pool, but
Yeah.
start somewhere. Versus they're like, hold on, before I go in, I need to read a book how to get into the kids' pool.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
or yeah, and that's what it is.
Oh, I love that. Oh, thank you so much. Look, I think it just made it much easier for people to understand that, especially for the business owners, that yes, we need to find our identity or build it up. So, as because yeah, business is hard. If anybody out there says no business is easy, I'm sorry. I don't know what they are on to say that business is easy. Business is not easy. It's not for faint-hearted people, but it is doable. It can be managed the same way of money. So all of these are energy. So, but we can reach to it and yeah, tame it and hold it and then use it in our own benefit and of course the benefit of community and human being. But of course, we all need someone to hold our hands and or at least just show us the way here and there, like a GPS or somebody a reference to go back to them and check with them. And that's what we have, the business identity coach like Ania Galej, who can help us here to, find our, where's the mistakes, oh, how to deal with this. And believe me, we all face it at the different level. Actually, yesterday I was talking to one of my friends. She is a coach as well, but she's a marketing coach. And she was telling me, I was telling her about my life and stuff. And she said, look, Helia, it's not just you. The other day she was watching TV and even Jennifer Lopez was just saying there are some days that she feels crap. I said, oh my God, yes, if she feels crap, you can imagine. So yeah, it happens to all of us and even the best of us and even Oprah. So there are some days we are like that, but we need someone to go to and help us to, yeah.
What matters is when you feel that, how do you deal with that? We live in a world of duality, right? If you want to have the good in business, you have to be ready for the bad, which means it's the two
I love
sides.
it. I love it.
We all want the good, the money, all that, right?
Yeah.
But the way you handle yourself,
Ooh,
which means
yes.
what you're thinking, because it's very easy to get off track when it comes to the way you're thinking, the way you're starting the story, because we all have a story about ourselves, and the way you're feeling in that bad day matters more. Because this is not when people come in and it's like, oh my God, I've been visualizing for 15 minutes every day and nothing. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
This is a tool, like in the manifestation, they manifest
Yeah.
everybody.
Yes.
This is the all these methods. This is a tool. But who are you being 24/7? On the beginning, when you start this, I say it's a full-time job, honey. You have to be ready.
Yeah.
And then it becomes normal.
Yes.
It's normal. It's who you are. So it's like, but what matters is how do you act or react when that bad day happens?
Yeah.
Or I always say, you put out an offer there and nobody replies or nobody responds. Do you give up? This is how you said, it's not easy. We can make it simpler, but it's not easy. Do you give up and you're like, okay, that's it, I'm done, nobody? Or do you continue? Or you're like, oh, okay. If you continue, then you're like, okay, maybe I need to refine this, maybe I need to change this, maybe this, what I've learned. And then because it takes one thing, right? Look at all these products. It is usually like one thing. And so you'll be like, how did someone become a millionaire on one thing? And they did.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Look, I can have this conversation with you hours and hours, and I will never get tired of that. Of course, the time of our show is limited, but thank you so much again for being here. Please let us know how our audience can reach you. What is the best way to reach you? Although we're going to put your details in the captions and stuff, but please, yeah, use your preference.
I have a Facebook, obviously, so when they look me up, they're going to see it. It's very out there. And then I have a Facebook group when I share all this and more, and Instagram. But I feel like Instagram with Facebook now, it's all linked kind of together.
Yeah.
But I would say preferably most of my work and what I share, it's on Facebook. So when you see my profile, then under that, you're going to see a Facebook group, but I can also give you a link to my Facebook group. And then you learn I usually do roughly 2-3 trainings like a week, shorter, like 10-15 minutes, bite-sized pieces. So people can get a little bit, we do visualization and these like deep, exercises so they can actually start experiencing that now. And yeah, and it's definitely something that I find it beneficial when I'm there and you share. I found it like when something is really long, our attention span is really
Yeah,
short.
that's
So
right.
I found it like 10, 15 minutes is like perfect. People get what they want and they're like, oh my God. Yes.
That's great. Thank you so much, Anna. I'm sure my audience will be, jumping on that offer, so and they will find you on Facebook and join your Facebook group and to, of course, get the different experience with you and yes, and heal their business identity or find their business identity. Well, no, that's great. Thanks again for your time. Really lovely to have you. And as I mentioned, we are planning to later on have some talk show. So yeah, that would be great to have you back here as one of our experts.
Oh,
Wonderful.
thank you
All
so
right.
much for
Thank
doing this.
you. All right then. Have a great day. See you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.